Don't touch that. The command slices through the morning rush like a blade. The homeless woman freezes. Her fingers hover inches above the $5 bill lying on the sidewalk, caught between her worn sneaker and the cardboard sign that reads, "Anything helps." It looks out of place, almost deliberate, like bait. "I thought it fell," she says quietly, not looking up yet. The man standing over her doesn't lower his voice. He wants people to hear. "I dropped it on purpose," he says. "I wanted to see what you'd do." Footsteps slow. A few heads turn. Someone subtly raises a phone. The woman finally looks up. Her face is thin, tired, but controlled. No shaking. No panic. "I wasn't stealing," she says. "I didn't know it was yours." The man bends down, picks up the bill, and straightens. His suit is crisp. His shoes never touch the pavement grime. A watch flashes on his wrist, expensive enough to buy her groceries for a month. "You people always say that," he replies calmly. "That's how you justify it." The word people lands heavier than the insult. A woman passing by frowns. "That's unnecessary," she mutters. The man ignores her. "This," he continues, gesturing at the woman, "is exactly why I don't give money. No integrity. No boundaries. Just hands out." The homeless woman's stomach tightens. Hunger claws, sharp and familiar, but her voice stays steady. "I didn't ask you for anything," she says. "You stopped here." A faint smile touches his lips. "And now I'm stopping you." He slips the $5 bill into his pocket. A ripple of discomfort moves through the small crowd. The woman doesn't cry. She doesn't beg. Instead, she reaches into her jacket and pulls out 3 crumpled dollar bills and a handful of coins. She holds them out with steady hands. "This is all I have," she says. "If $5 matters that much to you, take this too." The sidewalk goes quiet. For one brief moment, even the city seems to pause. Then the man laughs. Short, sharp. "Oh, that's cute," he says, playing the martyr. He straightens and raises his voice just enough. "Here's a lesson for you," he says. "Poverty doesn't make you honest." Phones tilt higher. He turns away. Behind him, her voice follows, soft, controlled, almost calm. "One day," she says, "you're going to wish you hadn't stopped." He pauses for half a second. Doesn't turn. "Sure," he scoffs. A black SUV idles at the curb. The door opens. He steps inside. The door shuts. The car pulls away. The moment dissolves. If you've ever seen power humiliate the wrong person, make sure you're subscribed, because this story is just getting started. People drift off. Phones lower. The city forgets her again. She sits there, heart pounding too fast, humiliation settling deep in her chest like a weight she knows too well. A construction worker slows, glances around, then hands her a paper bag. "Breakfast sandwich," he says gruffly. "Ignore that guy." "Thank you," she whispers. She eats slowly, tearing the sandwich in half so it lasts longer. Across the street, a massive digital billboard flickers to life. Callaway Group finalizes $2.1 billion acquisition. CEO James Callaway praised for discipline and decision-making. Her chewing stops. Her eyes lift. "Callaway." She exhales through her nose. Almost a laugh, but not quite. Because she recognizes the name instantly. Not from the billboard. From documents. From meetings. From reports that never saw daylight. Her name is Lena Brooks. 2 weeks ago, she owns a modest home. Paid for. She has a job people respect. An office badge that opens doors instead of raising suspicion. She doesn't lose everything because she's reckless. She loses it because she asks a question she isn't supposed to ask. She stands, slinging her backpack over one shoulder. She doesn't rush. Rushing looks desperate. 3 blocks away, the public library welcomes her without judgment. The security guard nods. He's seen her before. Inside, she washes her hands in the bathroom sink and studies her reflection. Tired eyes. Sharp mind. Controlled breathing. She sits at a computer terminal and logs in. Her inbox loads. 37 unread emails. Legal notices. Calendar invites that no longer include her. Threads that quietly moved on without her. She opens a folder labeled Archive. Inside is years of work, carefully saved, meticulously tagged. One file sits at the top. Callaway Group, Compliance Review. She opens it. Numbers. Memos. Contractor payments that don't line up. Internal approvals stamped too quickly. She remembers the meeting. Glass walls. Downtown. 20 floors up. She remembers leaning forward and asking, calmly, Can someone explain the discrepancy between reported labor costs and third-party contractor payments? She remembers the silence. She remembers being reassigned 3 weeks later, then terminated, then stalled, then erased. Her phone vibrates. Unknown number. She answers. Ms. Brooks, a man says. This is Daniel Moore with the State Ethics Commission. Her spine straightens. I'm calling about the complaint you filed last year, he continues. It's being reopened. Her fingers tighten around the phone. Why now, she asks. There's been a development, Daniel says carefully, and a conflict involving Mr. James Calloway himself. Yesterday flashes in her mind. The sidewalk. The $5. The word people. There's a compliance hearing scheduled next week, Daniel adds. If you're willing to testify publicly, it changes everything. She doesn't hesitate. I'm willing, she says, but I won't do it quietly. Daniel exhales. I didn't think you would. The call ends. Lena shuts down the computer and stands. Outside, the city keeps moving, unaware that a line has already been crossed. James Calloway thinks he tested a homeless woman's character. In reality, he exposes his own. And next week, he's going to answer for it in a room where money doesn't decide the truth. Not anymore. The morning of the hearing arrives faster than Lena expects. She stands outside the courthouse before the doors open, cold biting through her thin coat. Attorneys cluster nearby, coffee in hand. Assistants juggle folders. Reporters scan faces for familiar names. No one looks at her twice. That suits her. Across the street, a black SUV pulls to the curb. James Calloway steps out. He looks exactly like he did on the sidewalk, polished, relaxed, untouched by consequence. 2 lawyers flank him, murmuring updates. A reporter calls his name. Mr. Calloway. Any comment on the ethics review being reopened? He stops long enough to smile. Baseless allegations don't concern me, he says smoothly. Transparency has always been my priority. Cameras flash. He turns toward the courthouse and sees her. For a fraction of a second, something flickers in his eyes. Recognition, confusion, dismissal. Same worn sneakers. Same backpack. He looks away. Inside, the courtroom fills. Wood-paneled walls. Flags stiff in the corners. A low hum of anticipation. Lena sits alone in the second row. James takes his place at the front, whispering to his attorney, checking his watch. This room is familiar territory to him. He has testified before. Spoken to boards, panels, investors. He knows how this works. The chairwoman enters. All rise. The hearing begins. Formalities. Introductions. Scope of review. James Calloway is called first. He walks to the witness table with the ease of a man who believes the room belongs to him. His attorney guides him through prepared statements. Calloway Group values integrity. Internal audits show no wrongdoing. Allegations stem from disgruntled former employees. Lena listens without reacting. Then the chairwoman nods. We will now hear from Ms. Lena Brooks. A murmur ripples through the room. Lena stands. She walks forward calmly, shoulders back, steps measured. James turns. This time he stares. Her name lands differently than her appearance ever did. She takes the oath and sits. I was a senior compliance analyst at Calloway Group, Lena says evenly. For 7 years. James stiffens, just enough. I reviewed contractor payments, regulatory filings, and internal controls, she continues. My evaluations consistently exceeded expectations until I raised concerns regarding third-party labor contracts. One of Calloway's attorneys shifts. Over 18 months, Lena says, opening her folder, reported labor expenses failed to align with contractor invoices. Payments were routed through vendors sharing addresses, accounts, and directors. She slides a document forward. James's confidence tightens. These concerns were flagged internally, she continues. Each time, I was told to let it go. One vendor was labeled strategic. She looks up. That vendor is partially owned by Mr. James Calloway. The room goes still. The chairwoman leans forward. Do you have proof? Yes. Emails. Bank records. Corporate filings. James's attorney stands. Objection. Sit down. The chairwoman snaps. James's jaw tightens. Questions accelerate. Why were payments split under reporting thresholds? Why were audits waived? Why were whistleblower complaints closed? Lena answers calmly. Precisely. She does not raise her voice. She does not embellish. She tells the truth. James recognizes the documents now. He remembers approving them. Delegating. Assuming no one would ever connect the dots. He never imagines the woman from the sidewalk holding the map. The chairwoman nods. Ms. Brooks, you were terminated shortly after raising these concerns. Yes. A reporter scribbles furiously. James whispers urgently to his attorney. The chairwoman gestures. Thank you. You may step back. Lena stands. As she turns, her eyes meet James's. For the first time, he looks unsettled, and the room knows it. The hearing adjourns for recess. The courtroom explodes into noise. Chairs scrape. Voices overlap. Reporters surge forward, cameras already live, microphones extended like weapons. Ms. Brooks, did you expect this outcome? Were you homeless when this happened? Is this retaliation by Callaway Group? Lena raises one hand. The room quiets just enough. I'm here to tell the truth, she says evenly. Nothing more. She steps back. Across the room, James Callaway rises too fast. The polish on his face is cracked. Not shattered, but cracked enough for panic to leak through. He moves toward Lena before his lawyers can stop him. You planned this, he hisses under his breath. That whole thing on the street. You set me up. Lena meets his eyes. No, she says calmly. You did. His jaw tightens. You could have asked for help. I did, she replies. In reports. In meetings. In rooms you didn't stay in long enough to listen. His voice drops, sharp. You're going to ruin everything. She tilts her head slightly. You ruined it when you decided I didn't matter. A bailiff steps between them. Sir, he says firmly, step back. James retreats, but the damage is already visible. Outside the courtroom, headlines update in real time. Former compliance analyst testifies against Callaway Group. Ethics Commission orders full investigation. By the end of the day, Callaway Group stock drops 12%. By nightfall, the board announces an emergency session. If you believe truth should never be buried, like this video, so stories like this keep reaching people. James Callaway sits alone in his penthouse office. City lights burn through the glass behind him, sharp and distant. His jacket lies abandoned over a chair. His tie hangs loose around his neck. He pours a drink. Doesn't touch it. His phone lights up again. Outside counsel engaged. Crisis consultants inbound. SEC inquiry confirmed. For the first time in his career, the silence feels hostile. Across the city, Lena Brooks lies awake on a narrow cot in a women's shelter. The ceiling is stained. The air smells faintly of detergent and old heat. Someone coughs in the dark. Another woman mutters in her sleep. Lena stares upward. She isn't celebrating. She's bracing. Men like James Callaway don't fall quietly. They fight with lawyers, pressure, and character assassination. Her phone buzzes softly. Unknown number. You did well today, but be careful. They're digging into your past now. Lena exhales and types back. I expected that. The reply comes almost instantly. Meet me tomorrow. 7 a.m. corner of 9th and Grant. I have something you need to see. She hesitates, then types one word. Okay. Morning arrives wrapped in rain. James Callaway enters the Callaway Group boardroom to a wall of unfamiliar faces. Crisis consultants. Outside lawyers. Public relations strategists. People who specialize in survival. No one smiles. The chairman clears his throat. James, we need to talk about exposure. James sits, spine rigid. This is an overreaction. A woman at the far end slides a folder across the table. It's not. Inside are transcripts. Documents. More than Lena presented. James flips through them, pulse climbing. These weren't supposed to surface, he mutters. That's the problem, the chairman snaps. They did. Another board member leans forward. Your decision to terminate Ms. Brooks. Was that documented? James hesitates. The hesitation answers the question. Outside, rain streaks down the windows like a countdown. At the corner of 9th and Grant, Lena waits under the awning of a closed coffee shop. A woman approaches, late 50s, plain coat, purposeful stride. She carries a thick envelope sealed in plastic. You're Lena Brooks, the woman says. Yes. I'm Ruth Calder, she replies. Former internal auditor. Callaway Group. Lena straightens. Ruth opens the envelope just enough to show what's inside. More records. Different department. Same patterns. They buried my reports, Ruth says quietly. Then they offered me a settlement to stay quiet. I refused. They blacklisted me. She meets Lena's eyes. When I saw you testify yesterday, I knew it was time. Lena breathes in slowly. This could change everything. It will, Ruth says. But it'll make them furious. They already are, Lena replies. By noon, the counterattack begins. Anonymous sources flood the media. Former employee described as erratic. Financial stress cited as motive. Questions raised about whistleblower credibility. At the shelter, Lena scrolls through headlines on her cracked phone. She closes her eyes briefly. Here it is. She leaves the shelter and walks through the rain toward Brightwave Tower. Security stops her at the entrance. She gives her name calmly. I have a meeting. Minutes later, she sits in a warm conference room. A glass of water rests untouched in front of her. Two attorneys sit across from her. A third appears on screen. We represent the Ethics Commission, one says. We've reviewed your testimony. The man on the screen leans forward. Ms. Brooks, additional witnesses are coming forward. Lena places Ruth's envelope on the table. There are more documents, she says. And more people. The attorneys exchange glances. This strengthens your case, the woman says. But you should know, Callaway Group has requested an injunction to limit further disclosures. Are they trying to silence me? Lena asks. Yes. Lena nods once. Then I'd like to file for whistleblower protection immediately. Inside the Callaway mansion, James paces. His wife watches from the doorway. This is getting out of hand, she says quietly. They're exaggerating, he snaps. I built this company. You also underestimated her, she replies. The words hang. Lena signs the paperwork. Protection granted. Legal representation secured. Housing assistance approved. It isn't victory, but it's a foothold. That evening, James receives the call. The board has voted. The chairman says flatly. Effective immediately, you're stepping down as CEO pending investigation. James grips the phone. You can't do this. We already have. The line goes dead. James lowers the phone slowly, the room spinning. At the shelter, Lena reads the news alert. Callaway Group CEO steps down amid investigation. She exhales, not in triumph, but release. Tomorrow will be harder. But tonight, the future no longer feels sealed shut. Morning breaks differently. Lena wakes to the same ceiling, the same cot, but something inside her has shifted. Her phone buzzes. Emergency hearing scheduled. Tomorrow. Full panel. Across the city, James Callaway stares at the skyline from the opposite direction. His name trends for all the wrong reasons now. Former CEO. Under fire. Fall from grace. She's nobody, he mutters to the empty room. The words don't convince him. By noon, Lena enters Brightwave Tower again, this time escorted. Employees glance at her. Some recognize her. No sneers. No dismissal. A woman in a navy suit extends her hand. Ms. Brooks. Dana Wells. Interim Compliance Director. They walk together. We reviewed your original reports, Dana says. They were thorough. Lena nods. They had to be. Inside the conference room, investigators and analysts wait. Screens display timelines Lena knows by heart. For the first time, she isn't alone. James arrives at his own meeting to a colder room. The risk profile has escalated. A lawyer says. This may become criminal. Fix it, James snaps. Silence answers him. Your best option, another lawyer says carefully, is cooperation. James laughs bitterly. You want me to betray my own company? The company already moved on without you. A black sedan pulls up outside the shelter. The driver hands Lena a card. Temporary housing. Fully covered. It isn't luxury. It's stability. The next day, the hearing room is packed. Cameras line the walls. James sits at the defense table, suit immaculate, confidence gone. When Lena enters, the room stills. She wears a simple blouse. Clean. Pressed. James doesn't look away this time. Ms. Brooks, the chairwoman says, you are recalled to testify. Lena stands. She presents Ruth's records. Screens light up. Patterns emerge. Objections fall flat. Then the chairwoman turns. Mr. Callaway, do you wish to respond? James rises. This used to be his stage. A document appears behind him. His signature. Another. Another. The room murmurs. Fear finally reaches his eyes. The hearing adjourns without ceremony. No applause. No gavel slam. Just the quiet scrape of chairs and the weight of what has already been decided. James Callaway sits frozen as people move around him. Lawyers whisper. Reporters reposition. Cameras search his face for something. Anger, denial, collapse. They don't find it. They find emptiness. Across the room, Lena Brooks gathers her papers and slides them back into her folder. Her hands don't shake. Her breathing stays even. She has learned, the hard way, how to stay steady when rooms turn hostile. The chairwoman rises. This panel will reconvene in 48 hours, she says. Findings will be delivered in full. The words are procedural, but everyone knows what they mean. Outside, sunlight cuts across the courthouse steps. Reporters flood forward as Lena exits. Ms. Brooks, do you feel vindicated? Is this about revenge? Do you think justice will actually be served? Lena stops. She turns slowly. This was never about revenge, she says calmly. It was about refusing to disappear. She steps away. If this story matters to you, if you believe power should answer to truth, remember to subscribe. Stories like this only reach people when they're shared. Across town, James Calloway doesn't go home. He sits in a borrowed office, smaller than any he's worked in for decades. Temporary furniture, blank walls, a borrowed desk that creaks when he leans back. His phone rings. He knows who it is. James, his attorney says, voice tight, they're offering a deal. James closes his eyes. What kind of deal? Full cooperation. Testimony. Reduced sentence. And if I don't? A pause. Then they prosecute everything. James hangs up. For the first time in his life, he understands what it feels like to be replaceable. That night, Lena sits alone in her temporary apartment. The space is modest. Clean. Quiet. Stability. She stands by the window, watching the city breathe. Cars move. Lights flicker. People live their lives unaware of how close power came to silencing the wrong voice. Her phone vibrates. A message from Dana Wells. Tomorrow will be long. You ready? Lena types back. I've been ready longer than they know. The final hearing draws a crowd. Cameras line the walls. Legal analysts fill the gallery. The mood is no longer curious. It's anticipatory. James Calloway arrives through a side entrance. No smile. No entourage. Just two attorneys and a man who finally understands gravity. Lena enters through the front. She takes her seat. The chairwoman calls the room to order. Findings are read aloud. Violations confirmed. Whistleblower retaliation established. Financial misconduct documented. Each statement tightens the air. Then the words land. Formal criminal charges are recommended. James's shoulders sag. Assets are frozen pending prosecution. A murmur spreads. The Ethics Commission will refer this case to federal authorities. The gavel strikes once. That's it. James Calloway is escorted out through a hallway with no cameras. No witnesses. No audience. For the first time, no one stops him. Outside, Lena stands at the top of the courthouse steps. The sun is warm on her face. Reporters gather again. What happens now, someone asks. She considers the question. Now, she says, the work continues. She turns and walks away. Weeks pass. Quietly. Effectively. James Calloway's indictment is unsealed. Former executives cooperate. Shell companies dissolve. Settlements fall apart. The empire collapses not with a scream, but with paperwork. James moves into a smaller apartment. No staff. No drivers. No boardrooms. He wakes each morning to silence and consequences. One afternoon, his phone rings. Unknown number. He answers. Ms. Brooks, he says immediately. I know it's you. She doesn't deny it. I wanted to say I was wrong, he continues, voice low. I thought I was testing character. I didn't realize I was exposing my own. Lena listens. I don't expect forgiveness, he adds quickly. I just needed to say it. She exhales slowly. You didn't lose everything because of me, she says calmly. You lost it because of who you were when no one was watching. The line goes quiet. She ends the call. James sits alone. For the first time, there's no one left to blame. Lena's days fill with work. Real work. She reviews cases. Protects whistleblowers. Advises investigators who used to look the other way. She never raises her voice. She never grandstands. She simply refuses to let truth be buried again. She moves into a modest apartment of her own. Buys groceries without counting coins. Walks without lowering her eyes. One evening, she passes the same sidewalk where everything began. Same corner. Same noise. A man drops a bill near a woman sitting against the wall. Before the man speaks, Lena steps forward. Hey, she says gently. You didn't do anything wrong. She helps the woman up. Buys her a meal. Listens. No cameras. No tests. Just humanity. Months later, a quiet headline scrolls across the bottom of a news feed. Former Calloway Group CEO sentenced. Whistleblower protections expanded nationwide. Lena reads it once, then closes the article. She stands by her window as the city hums below, still flawed, still loud, still learning. She doesn't feel victorious. She feels grounded. The world didn't change because one man fell. It changed because one woman refused to be erased. And somewhere, someone who once would have stayed silent won't. She turns off the light and walks forward, in her own power, in her own name. If this story meant something to you, comment where you're watching from and share it with someone who needs it.